the top stories, charges filed against defaulters under Integrity in Public Life Act. Indian High Commissioner pays courtesy call on government officials, and St. Kitts and Nevis aims to achieve 25 by 2025 agenda. The details on these stories and more after the break. Hello and welcome to the ZIZ Channel 5 newscast. I'm Carla Berridge. Charges have been filed against defaulters under Integrity in Public Life Act. A press release issued by the Director of Public Prosecutions informed that several public officials have failed to meet their obligation of meeting the deadline for compliance with the mandatory declaration requirements. The DPP noted that in accordance with earlier warnings, complaints were filed on January 31st against these public officials who failed to comply. This list represents a diverse range of positions and organizations. The DPP has reiterated the importance of these declarations in combating corruption and maintaining public trust. He said, quote, "Were I to fail to follow through on my warning of certain prosecution, not only would the credibility of my office be damaged, but it would also set a harmful precedent that laws can be disregarded without consequence," end quote. He said these charges will carry the full weight of the Integrity in Public Life Act, with potential fines of up to $30,000 or imprisonment for up to 3 years. Public officials are reminded of the next filing deadline of April 30th, 2024. Applicable public officials are strongly urged to make the necessary preparations to ensure that this legal obligation is honored by the statutory deadline. This is a developing story. The newly appointed High Commissioner of the Republic of India, His Excellency Dr. Amit Talang, paid a courtesy call on the Honorable Dr. Terence Drew, Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, on Tuesday, January 30th, at government headquarters. The High Commissioner also paid a courtesy call on the Minister of Foreign Affairs of St. Kitts and Nevis, the Right Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas, to present a copy of his letter of credentials. The meeting also aimed to strengthen bilateral ties and foster collaboration of key issues crucial to both nations. The Sustainable Island State agenda of the Federation took center stage during the discussions, emphasizing the commitment of both nations to environmentally sustainable and resilient development. The High Commissioner and the Minister explored avenues for joint efforts to tackle climate change, sharing expertise and resources to mitigate its impact on the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Discussions expanded to other areas of cooperation, with particular focus on technology, food security and training initiatives. Both parties acknowledged the importance of fostering collaboration in these domains to address shared challenges and promote sustainable development. St. Kitts and Nevis is seeking to reduce regional food imports by 25% by 2025, according to the Director of Agriculture on St. Kitts, Janelle Kelly.
Agriculture, it remains a major pillar in the Caribbean community and of course St. Kitts and Nevis. And so the economies, we have the potential to build the economic resilience and drive socio-economic inclusion and development. And so one of the ways we see to grow agriculture is this 25 by 25 agenda that you've been hearing so much about, and we've been working assiduously towards it. In this vein, what would have occurred is that in the region we would have seen that there was a $3 million US bill in terms of the imports of food in 2016. That increased to 5 billion in 2018, and then even to 4.78 billion in 2019. And so the heads of government of the CARICOM region would have met and would have determined that we need to bring down our food import bill by at least 25%. And so they would have.
During her presentation on the 2024 Agriculture Work Plan, the Director of Agriculture emphasized the major areas that will help the country accomplish its aim of lowering regional food imports by 2025.
And of course, we would have been looking at priority crops for attention, and of course, meat products such as corn, sheep, goat, tomato. Really, we're targeting the high value crops in the sector.
Director Kelly went on to highlight some of the progress made in local food production.
Agriculture, we would have sought to increase the amount of night markets that we were facilitating, because we wanted, as my colleague said, to put that money in the pockets of our vendors, our stakeholders. So there were greater opportunities to earn an income through these night market activities. And of course, it gave the public that opportunity. If you couldn't go to the public market during the day or even the supermarkets, you had that opportunity to go to the night markets. In addition to that, at the department, we have been focusing heavily on increasing production in fruit trees, because that's something we've seen decreasing over the years, and so we want to increase the amount of fruit trees that we have that available for our households, so you could get that nutrition and so forth from the mangoes, the soursop, etc. That's been quite important to us. We would have been seeing also some increase in swine production early up in the year in 2023, and that's an area we also want to focus on in terms of the swine, the beef, the small ruminants. We would have been concentrating on a semi-intensive model for our small ruminants, so we could increase that animal nutrition to get the carcass to a higher weight, and so you could get more value, more bang for your buck, as it were. We would have had a number of activities, for example.
Randall Thompson is the Director of Marine Resources. He mentioned the achievements in the sector from 2023 to the present.
The Bass Fisheries Complex, in terms of getting it, a new facelift, it was painted. Right, and also the overall fisheries complex. We would have seen new equipment go into the overall complex as well, right? Because what our plan is there is to make it into a fisheries depot where the people of the local communities can go there and purchase fish that has already been processed, right? So they could have fresh fish there. So that work would have been done, the building would have been painted, and I thought that was a good achievement for us last year. This also would include the continued support of the government to support the fisheries, our fishers, right? We would have been making gears available to our fishers, right? Gears that they couldn't get.
And when you say gears, give us some examples.
Gears in terms of fish pot wire, gears in terms of ropes that they can use for the fishing operation. We would have sourced them, have them at our department where they're able to purchase them. And this goes a long way to keep our fishing operations going. So that was a big plus.
Kelly, the Director of Agriculture, and Thompson, the Director of Marine Resources, were guests on the January 31st edition of In Focus. After the break, the importance of statistical data in fire and rescue operations outlined, and police urge owners of derelict vehicles to remove them from roadside. Stay with us.
We've been working to bring you our most reliable internet ever.
And today, we are very excited to offer gig speed on Flo's fiber-powered network.
The best entertainment experience in St. Kitts and Nevis.
And plans that give you everything you need.
It's a new Flo, and it's all inspired.
And it's all inspired.
And it's all inspired.
And it's all inspired by you.
Horseland Value Mart IGA specials.
Running January 25th to February 7th.
Now our Value Club Blue Tag specials. Ocean Spray Cranberry Raisins, $10.99. IGA Anti-Central Everyday Cocktail and Dry Roasted Peanuts, $12.99. Lender's Bagels, $12.99. Tostina's Party Pizza, $9.99. Kraft Barbecue Sauce, $7.49. Purex liquid detergent $15.99. And now our very low weekly
Value deals! Starter Kiss Tuna $3.99. Hunt's Diced Tomato $6.49. IGN Essential Everyday Mac and Cheese $2.99. Mott's Applesauce $13.79. Nabisco Ritz and Cheesecake Crackers $14.99. Equaline Mouthwash $10.99. Shop Smart, Shop Value Mart, dale mi Spanish.
sea listo y haga sus compras aquí en
Value Mart!
On your own, oh yeah. Build your future today. Let Own Mortgage show you the way. On your own, your family, your home, build it with pride. National Bank is right here by your side. With every step, with every loan. National Bank helps you find your own, oh yeah. Build your future today. Let Own Mortgage show you the way. On your own.
Welcome back. The importance of data collection and analysis for the St. Kitts and Nevis Fire and Rescue Services was the topic of discussion during Fire Talk on Wednesday. Fire Substation Officer Ryan Blois, head of the statistical unit of the St. Kitts and Nevis Fire and Rescue Services, spoke of the newly commissioned unit, which is 1 year old and was created to give statistical data such as fire trends and peak seasons, and to be able to manage the resources of the department. Data is collected from each of the 3 stations located in Bastille, Sandy Point and Nevis via the cloud, and has varying degrees of priority. Fire Substation Officer Blois gave insight into data collected that is deemed important to aid police or educate the public.
Yes, we prioritize different types of data. Now, one such data is basically what we look for is anything that is in criminal being, because we have seen trends where persons may be considered arsonists, and we dialogue with our administration and the police department to see how best we can deal with this matter. Also, other data we collect is in response to the use of our jaws of life. The public has the perception that every time we respond to a vehicular incident or vehicular fire, we use our jaws of life. So we collect those reports so we can basically educate the public and make the public more aware that it's not every time you see the fire department go to a fire scene, they use the jaws of life.
Identifying trends assists the fire department in managing their human resource, Fire Officer Blois said.
Now, I'll explain this a bit further. Trends. Now, once we recognize a pattern, like I spoke earlier about the peak season, now we basically relate to administration. We work closely with administration, making human resource determination. Now, between a different district, we recognize that we're seeing a trend of wildland fires at a specific season. Now, we work with management to stagger either human resource manpower, or we basically shift the whole department itself, okay, to take one driver from here, which is a bit more experienced in that area, and put him this place because he's more experienced there. Also, some of the other trends is like, now, these particular names have been coming more frequently as a person making the report, as a person calling the fire department. Now, why is it that they're calling fire department every time? Now, we look at the dates when they're calling the fire department. We look at the surround, what is happening in that area around that time. Is it something that they actually have a purpose of calling the fire department? So these are some of the trends that we look at.
He said as more data is collected and trends identified, the issue of prank calls will be attended to. Legislation to charge such persons is under review.
A lot of questions. We are actually in discussion of amending our present act, and we are working closely to get it a bit more tight-lipped, so persons like these who make prank calls could be brought to criminal
prosecuted.
Yes.
With the collection of data, the fire and rescue services can best serve the citizenry and its employees with adequate and staggered vacation times and maximize the use of an individual skill set. To aid the digitalization of the fire department, training is being done to reskill persons in the use of technology. Records of fire registers, hydrant patrol, and incident report books, which can only be kept for 10 years in a physical form, are being recorded digitally for easy retrieval of information. The Traffic Department in the Royal St. Christopher Nevis Police Force is calling on owners of derelict vehicles to remove them from the side of the road to avoid causing danger to other road users.
It shall be the duty of the owner, driver, or other person in control or in charge of any vehicle, A, when the vehicle has broken down on a road, in such circumstances that the defect cannot be remedied within a reasonable time, or the presence of the vehicle is likely unnecessarily to obstruct or to cause any danger to other person using the road, or when required to do so by any member of the police force on the ground that the vehicle has been permitted to remain at rest on a road in such a position or in such condition or in such circumstances as to be likely to cause danger to other person using the road, to remove or to take all reasonable steps to secure the removal of such vehicle as soon as practicable.
Sergeant Sophia Henry was appearing on the January 31st edition of On the Road on ZIZ Radio.
Once we find the owner, you have 48 hours to move such. Okay. We give you a notice and it's 48 hours. If we cannot find the owner, it's 7 days. Okay. We're still going to inquire about the owner, but if we cannot find such, then we remove it.
So 2 to 7 days.
7 days if we cannot find the owner of the vehicle.
Right.
48 hours if we know the owner of the vehicle. We give you the notice and tell you have 48 hours to remove such from off the road.
That was Sergeant Sophia Henry of the Royal St. Christopher Nevis Police Force. Chairman of the board of the Eastern Benevolent Society Funeral Home Limited, Theodore Brown, has sought to clarify a mix-up that occurred after a news item aired informing of the Eastern Benevolent Society ceasing operations on Wednesday. During an interview with ZIZ News, Mr. Brown explained that the funeral home is still open for business.
Because of what circulating in social media, where news items spoke about the society, which we have no qualms about that, but a photograph of the funeral home was attached to the story on YouTube, and that raised the board concern. So I was asked to come and clear the air to let the general public know that the funeral home is open for business. We are in no way closing down.
He stated that members of the society can still access services from the funeral home.
We would acknowledge any benefits that you had signed up for in the society. We acknowledge that. But as I said, money, which we cannot give because we didn't accept money. We give them whatever is there for them, like 2 or 3 nights free on the refrigerator. We acknowledge that. And we give them the best package available, what they choose, and sometimes we still give them a discount. But to take money, to give them money, we cannot do.
Mr. Brown also mentioned that members of the Eastern Benevolent Society would have to take a letter from the society if they wish to access the services of the funeral home. Coming up in regional news, Excel spreadsheet mix-up blamed for police promotion controversy in Trinidad. The details when we come back.
Here are your hosts at Value Mart IGA specials.
Running January 25th to February 7th.
Now our Value Club Blue Tag specials. Ocean Spray Cranberry Raisins, $10.99. IGA Anti-Central Everyday